It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Well, we had talked about what's going on in New York State with Governor Hochul coming out and saying, well, I endorse I endorse Mamdani, but we're not going to raise taxes.
Right.
And we're not going to tax the rich. The rich have been taxed enough, is what she said. And if we tax the rich more, I'm worried about them leaving the state.
Right.
Leaving New York City and leaving the state.
We wouldn't want Trump to leave New York.
and they pay so much.
Yeah.
1.5% of the wage earners pay a third of the taxes.
Yeah.
And she said, we can't do it. Meanwhile, I did mention it, and I want to make sure I deliver on this. I mentioned what's being talked about in California. This is from Realtor.com. California's billionaires may be on the hook for a one-time 5% tax on their net worth to help the state fund health care after the sweeping cuts to Medicaid, a move that could generate about $100 billion in revenue, but potentially shake up the local housing market's luxury segment. Now, the $100 billion comes from the fact that you look at the billionaires that are there. Mm-hmm. They roughly hold $2 trillion in wealth. This is not taxing their income. This is taxing their wealth.
Yes.
So if it's $2 trillion, that's $100 billion.
Taking their existing property.
Right. Or having them, they've got to liquidate property.
Right.
They've got to.
Well, whether it's money or property or real estate type property, it's their property.
Money,
yes.
Property, stock,
yes.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to liquidate it in order to pay this.
Confiscate it. The government taking it.
Yes. And so if you make $1 billion, if you have $1 billion in net worth, even though you've paid income tax on all that billion, they'd want another 5%.
Even if you don't have that in cash.
Right. You may have none of it in cash. It may all be in stock. Mm-hmm. You've got to come up with $50 million to pay the government.
Right.
Last week, the Service Employees International Union, which represents 2 million workers across 100 different occupations, excuse me, I sneezed there, proposed a ballot initiative to impose the wealth tax on roughly 200 California billionaires. The billionaires pay less than 1.5% of their total wealth in annual state taxes, well, because they're paying on income.
Yeah.
All that wealth they have, they've already paid taxes on.
Right.
So I want to see what type of response this gets in California as compared to what the governor of New York is saying on income tax. We can't raise it. Can't.
Here's the first question. How do you know? How does the state know who to tax?
You would have to, as you've said before, audit everybody's wealth.
Exactly. They would have to audit. Because earnings isn't going to tell you total net worth.
Right. Earnings is easy.
Right.
If you're reporting them. And
right, yeah. So income tax is based on, again, what you earned during that period. Not your total, because here's the question, again. You could have somebody who has had property in California. I don't know if there is such a person, but we'd use this as an example. Who owns property in California and has just kept that property in California. Now, there are ways to say, all right, on real estate property, they can go to to appraisal districts, and they can gather all that, right? And then they can say, if you're talking just real estate, there are records that would say, all right, this one owner or company owns a total of $1 billion in property in California. But there are others where you have no idea. You really don't know, because then you're gonna assign a number to it. It's 5%. Well, 5% of what? Oh, wait, that gets back to the audit. You're going to have to audit them, but you're going to have to audit a lot of people, if not everybody.
So, looking at the latest net worth of Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Based on his net worth, he would have to pay $12.6 billion.
That's right.
To the state of California.
Yeah. He's going to have to share. He's going to have to sell some shares of Facebook.
Yeah.
Because when they, when a billionaire, when one of these tech billionaires especially cashes out, sells like $1 billion in stock or a couple of, it makes the news. First of all, they have to publicly. That has to, if they're a publicly traded company, then the senior principal in that company does something like that, then that has to be made public. But it also makes the news because kind of gets the interest of the poor people. Zuckerberg wanted some cash, so he cashed out. So 12, what'd you say? 12 point what?
12.6 billion. He would have to pay
12.6 billion
on top of any income taxes,
right?
State income taxes, which he would be paying the 13% too.
Yeah. Yeah.
2024 reports indicating that he was paid around $27 billion in total compensation.
Okay. See, on earnings like that, when all right, then you've already on the earnings, you're already qualified as a billionaire. But that's not always the case. There could be other billionaires out there that are property rich and cash poor.
Oh, yeah.
And
but how much
it's
of it was
not reflected
how much of it
in
was,
their earnings?
How much of it was paid in stock?
Right. Right. Great point. He would most definitely have to sell some stock.
Well, and
to raise $12.6 billion. I'm guessing,
but if you're paid in stock, they can set it that you have to keep the stock for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Which is why they're paying
depending
you in stock.
Depending on how many shares that is, but there may be other shares that you could have available to liquidate, but there will be a lot of people. No.
I'm sorry, I didn't explain it right. What I'm saying is he was paid $27, billion, but a significant portion of that could be paid in stock that he can't liquidate as part of the agreement to get the stock immediately.
No, I know what you're saying.
Right. Oh,
but
okay.
He could still be forced to liquidate other stock.
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no way to do it without a massive audit of all of them, because you need to know what their net worth is. That has to be determined. And you need to find all the billionaires. Because if you're going to have that threshold, if it's going to be, according to the move, whatever the legal move is, the legislature is going to come up with a number. If it's going to start at $1 billion, well, that's if you own enough houses in California, you might be a billionaire.
Right. So Zuckerberg, because I think the top level is 13%. So that would be 3.5
state income tax.
So that would be 3.5. Let's just say, and again, that may not be his taxable income, but we're just doing this rounding it off. $27 billion, what he made in income. He paid $3.5 billion in California state taxes. He would have to pay an additional 4 times that amount $12.6 billion for the year, the 2026, when they would want this one-time wealth tax.
And there's the other thing.
And the one time, by the way, is the other thing, right?
Yeah, one time.
Right.
Well, are you saying you won't need to make up Medicaid costs later?
Next year?
Because if you get away with this now, then, of course, you're going to get away with it down the road. Once you open that door, then it's all over.
Once you open
the
up
first
a wealth
time you
tax
do
in
that,
California, it's not going away.
It's and it's over because all of those billionaires would be gone. I don't know why you wouldn't move to Florida.
Or Texas.
Headquarters right away. Do what Jeff Bezos did when he moved to Florida. He apparently is like buying a whole street of luxury houses. It's like, what? Yeah.
Or Elon Musk with his little house.
Yeah, right. His tiny home.
Next to he's got a tiny home next to all the rocket launchers in Texas.
He's living the van life. He's the richest guy on the planet.
It's right. His security is in the mansion next door.
Right. Yeah. They would flood out of billionaires don't use U-Haul, but whatever they use.
Jet Hall.
Jet Hall. Yeah. Lear Hall. It would be
or Guppy Hall. Remember the Guppy planes?
Oh,
the
yeah.
huge ones
exactly. Massive jumbo jet. That's probably what
Guppy Hall.
Probably what Bezos used, his own jumbo jets that he uses for Amazon.
No, they forget about buying a street. They would buy Texas and Florida.
That's it. Oh crap. Dang it. That's already happening. I mean, you go out and try and get some land. It's like, nah, it's going through the roof because the billionaires, they're coming out here, making their own little space headquarters. But no, they would flock. They would be gone from California. Do this one time and it's over. You would only be able to do it one time because there wouldn't be any billionaires left in California beyond that. There's no reason why you would stay.
I do want to watch the reaction because this is all really interesting because you talk about the Civil War, and Democrats now are talking about the Civil War inside their own party. Well, this is and they go, well, communism versus this. Well, what's the real argument? We understand, we know what communism and socialism is versus capitalism and democratic constitutional republic. We understand that, but what's the real issue? Financing. Who pays for it? That's
right.
what it comes down to.
Right.
And so when Hochul comes out and says, I support the communists, but we won't fund communism, socialism.
Right.
Well, then you really don't support him.
Right.
Because you're not going to tax the rich.
Right. And if he wins
that's where the Civil War is.
Right, and if Mamdani wins New York City next Tuesday, the way the polls reflect, then he's going to have leverage with lawmakers in that state, which means she's going to lose leverage on that issue.
I remember when Cuomo did it and said, no, I will veto any millionaires tax. We can't do that. I can't, what did you say? I can't afford to be.
There comes a time when you can no longer afford to be a liberal.
To be a liberal, yeah. Cuomo said that. And interesting, he's running against Mamdani. That's the irony of it all. But I'm really interested to see where this goes, what the response is to this proposal, again, coming from a government union that is worried about their jobs. Well, if we're going to cover illegal immigrants, we don't want to lose our jobs.
Right.
So tax the rich.
Right.
Really interested. We'll keep, believe me, this is one we keep updated on everything, but this is one I want to see where this one goes because this is where the Civil War is.
Well,
the Civil War is we have no more money.
Yeah.
We got to tax the rich. Do it.
And it's in line with, the question I've been asking is the Democratic Party ready to cross that threshold now? At least I think on this issue, this is really just going back to the old issue. and that is, tax the rich, tax the corporations, and promise the world to everybody else. That's not a new issue. So this may be it. This may be a big play for the Democrats, and it's one that they can get some of the populists on. I heard Joe Kernan on CNBC. This goes back several years, but he actually said one time, I saw him say it, well, maybe we should consider a one-time wealth tax. And he's a conservative otherwise. So, there's going to be a few populists that jump on, well, I do believe that the rich should pay more and the rich should...
You mean like the one-time COVID subsidies for Obamacare?
Yeah, right, exactly. It's the one time...
That has an end date. We're going to have an end date on
once. We're only going to do it once.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest lies out there, isn't it?
Right.
A one-time tax.
Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Owner-operators can save a hefty amount of money by participating in discount fuel networks. If you're leased and your fleet has a fuel optimizer program, use it. Such a program helps plan a trip based on fuel prices and locations in the carrier's fuel network. The larger the carrier, typically the larger the discounts that are possible. Fees for using such networks have become rare thanks to competition for drivers. Owner-operators are well advised, however, to pass up network fuel stops that are too costly, are too far off route, sell inferior fuel, or are dangerously or poorly maintained. For independent owner-operators, a bevy of fuel discount networks exists, from a variety of traditional fuel cards to the National Association of Small Trucking Companies network and the younger mudflap applications discounts at independent truck stops around the nation. Research the options and discounts available to find the right one for you. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
We're Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, Kevin O'Leary on CNN. All right, about the shutdown. Here we go. All right.
I'm not a fan of solving for one problem over another. A bill like Ted Cruz has to keep air traffic controllers going. This is all bad. The people vote their representation, and the government's supposed to do the work of the people. I say none of this stuff should go forward, so the pressure gets worse and worse and worse, whether it's SNAP, which is horrific, whether you can't travel. We're a very transit-based society in America. You can see it today. I flew into New York, delays like crazy, and it's just, these guys stopped getting paid tonight.
Wait, are you saying you don't think that anything should be funded?
No separate bills. I think you have to squeeze government on a bipartisan basis like a teenage pimple. Keep squeezing it until they get back to Washington and they solve the problem. Everybody's got an agenda item here. You've got this issue around health care. Other people have issues around SNAP. You've got the traffic controllers, the air traffic controllers. Everybody's got an issue. And the reason they have an issue is the government of America is closed. So don't solve one vertical. Don't do anything until everybody is so pissed off. Because I'll tell you, next week, when people, the one that kills you every time is to get to an airport and there's a 5-hour lineup. That's the one that always gets government back to work. So Cruz is right to bring that bill, but I don't want it passed. I want those people pissed, whether the Republicans or Democrats sank the representation. Hey, bozos, get back to Washington.
On our website, RedEyeRadioShow.com. Show info with stations, podcasts, and more. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. The one thing that when we played that audio cut from Kevin O'Leary on CNN, the one thing he didn't say was, well, Republicans, the entire thing started because the Republicans had a clean CR.
Yeah.
And
right.
Democrats don't want a clean CR. They're the ones that started with the game.
Mm-hmm.
He failed to mention that. He's just failing what happened afterwards when Ted Cruz is saying, for example, we should pay the TSA people. They've had a variety of different votes to fund it, but it all originated from a clean continuing resolution bill that actually funds at Biden levels all the way through to Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving. Mm. So that's the one thing that he did not mention, which is a very important thing to mention. And even on C-SPAN, this discussion was going on with Democratic Representative Janelle Bynum about, she's saying that, they had a poison pill in the CR. And she was asked specifically, what are you talking about? Where is it? Mm. She couldn't answer it. Mm. Here's that back and forth.
They did have a clean CR vote on September 19th in the House. Did you vote for it?
I disagree with your characterization and want to make sure that we're very clear about what Republicans have been doing. Any bill that they've put forth, they've always had some extra stuff to it. There's always been a poison pill to it. So I disagree with your characterization.
What were the poison pills of the clean CR or the continuing resolution? You say it's not clean, that was voted on in the House in mid-September.
Here's what's important. I think what you're trying to do is shift the responsibility to...
Didn't answer the question.
Nope. Yeah.
So it's, when O'Leary says that, that's sort of the populist both sides argument. But there isn't a both sides argument here.
No.
Because Republicans wanted a clean resolution to begin with. And when Democrats say it wasn't, they can't answer why it wasn't. And there's an example right there.
Right. Yeah, look, the Democrats aren't winning this, and now, nothing's going to happen today. So then you're getting to Monday is the 3rd, and if a clean CR gets you to the 21st, that's not even time enough for debate and to get this thing passed without having just about, maybe 2 weeks left? And then you're back at, okay, wait a minute. The TSA is not going to be paid on the 1st, and government employees aren't going to be paid on the 1st. You're back to square one. If you're the Democrats, you're not. And maybe this is why they're holding out so long. A clean CR to get you to the 21st, to get you 3 weeks down the road really doesn't do anything because you're right back there by the time you get it done anyway.
Well, as the story headline from Fox News yesterday, Thune and the GOP reject pushing the rifle shot government funding bills during the shutdown. We mentioned earlier that Trump came out and said, get rid of the filibuster on this. Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about it. It's time to get rid of it. Look, they're going to do it anyway. The Democrat. It's sort of like the argument that we've heard, the Trump administration going after the people that did lawfare against him. They better watch it because the Democrats might do it back to them. It was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's how it all started.
Right.
It's like, if that's your argument, it really doesn't hold any water.
Right.
That disappears, very quickly. And here, when they talk about getting rid of the filibuster, the only problem would be, would you get, even in the nuclear option, 51 votes?
Yeah, I don't.
Or would you get Republicans saying, no, we're not going to do this? The one thing that you have here, when you look at everything that has happened, is when you see every single day, and it's been the past 3 days, you have government unions that are Democrat. You have other unions that represent the airlines. As we know, unions, for the most part, are liberal Democrat leadership.
Yeah, right.
And they're the ones coming out and saying we need a clean CR. Where that pressure will lead, because I'm sure Now that it's started, it seems to be an avalanche because you had so many of the union representatives of the airlines, airline leaders, pilots associations, air traffic control, TSA, all of them are out there saying that the country's biggest federal union coming out and saying we need a clean CR. That's going to put pressure on Democrats. And when you get to the whole SNAP thing, Fetterman yesterday, I didn't play the audio because he was cursing in it. That's how ticked off he is at Schumer. But I think that, you look at, for example, and, CNN was carrying it. CNN was carrying it. People in Pennsylvania hear it. And he's just saying, he said, he actually said, I'm sorry we can't get our blank together and open the government.
Yeah.
And then he was actually asked the question from CNN. Well, Schumer said every day this gets better for us. And he responded, ask the hungry people on Saturday. This is not some S-word game showing about who's winning.
No, I mean, we're looking, for government employees. Today is payday. Tomorrow is the first for, other benefits to hit that won't hit. This weekend will be the pain weekend.
Yeah. And it's pain across the board.
Yep. And the further into and the closer you get to the holidays, the further into holiday season you get, the worse it gets for the Democrats.
Now, I will say that it was finally brought up by someone in the media, something that you and I brought up. Here's Audrey Fahlberg. It's not an audio cut. It's a news article, opinion article in the National Review. John Thune is sure the GOP will win the shutdown fight, but the real question is what to do about Obamacare. And we've been saying that.
You and I have been saying that.
Very beginning. It's like, well, if you win the shutdown, then you cave on what the Democrats want. What have you won?
That's it. Because when the president posted on social media, look, I was thinking about it on the way back from Korea. Why not do the nuclear option? We should do the nuclear option. Let's just say, because I don't think you got 51 votes, but let's say you did. The problem is exactly this. Well, then eventually you're going to get to the Obamacare thing. And they really don't want to get to that too quickly. What are you going to do? I mean, because if they're going to balk and cave on the Obamacare thing, sorry, that's not a good look going into 26 for a lot of your base. And I don't know, because you and I both expect them to cave on Obamacare.
Well, the media and even the leaders of the party get so focused on the argument of the day.
Exactly.
That they don't look at what we did, which was the big argument. Well, wait a minute, because if the Republicans sit there and go, we won, we got them to cave, the Democrats have caved. Now, the Democrats are going to be ticked off, but Republicans are going, we got them to cave, the government is back open.
And then
what? And then we cave to everything that the Democrats want because we're going into an election year. Well, then the shutdown was useless to begin with.
Right.
Because you were going to cave all along.
Right. It's Chip Roy
at
the podium earlier this year,
right,
shouting and shouting and shouting, and then eventually voting 3 times for it.
Yeah.
So but it would be the entire party this time.
But the entire argument now is about who's to blame for the shutdown and people not getting paid.
Right. Exactly.
When the real argument now, it's going to be solved and they're all going to get paid.
Yeah.
So the real debate is, are the Republicans going to cave to what the Democrats want?
Right.
Because it's a midterm election and you can't take away subsidies from people that include a significant number of Republicans who collect Obamacare subsidies. And so we'll put off trying to actually resolve the problems with Obamacare, even though we know, we talked about the Paragon Group, that looked at it and said, well, the shutdown's got nothing to do with the raising of the costs of Obamacare. This is the structural issues of Obamacare that are wrong.
Right.
Well, will we ever get to actually fixing those? Is there the will from the Republicans to actually do that and change it?
I don't have the confidence that there is. Because I think, I think they'd love to have it in the dead part of the year, right before a holiday break, right? You just kind of make that move, and when everybody's focused on other things. I don't know how much that works anymore, but it might be their only play. Well, we'll get to the Obamacare then, right at the last minute, last thing we do in December before we leave. But if you get through and you do the nuclear option now, which I don't think they have 51 votes, but if they did and they do that and they get to Obamacare sooner, again, not a good look.
I'll be landing in Buffalo on December 24th at 4 p.m. in the afternoon in a snowstorm to see my dad, and it will be, and the Republicans have caved, but nobody's going to be back for another month.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to cave or not, but I don't see where there's going to be, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see the game plan or the marketing which needs to be there. Everything is based on the shutdown. Do we win the shutdown? Well, I really don't care whether you win everybody's going to get paid one way or another. Mm-hmm. I don't care whether you win the shutdown, which is a small battle. Right. When you look at the big battle with the war, which is reducing spending in the budget. Yeah. And look, we were sold a bull of crap with Doge, and nothing ever happened. $2 trillion, $1 trillion. You and I got a ton of hate mail from Republicans, a lot of our own listeners, for doubting that they couldn't cut $2 trillion or $1 trillion. Yeah. I say this with, no ego or anything or arrogance. We were right.
Yeah. Wasn't going to happen.
It was BS that we were sold.
Oh, I'd love to be sitting here right now saying we were wrong.
Oh, God, we said that at the time. Please. We'll be the first. I was wrong. I
would have a parade to celebrate how wrong I was.
Don't overpromise or over-celebrate something which is actually meaningless.
Right.
And use that as what you celebrate the victory and not the absolute victory, which would be reforming Obamacare.
Right.
Or getting rid of it.
We've been here too many times.
Yep. 866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So, of course, I've got to see how the Drudge Report is carrying all of this stuff that's going on. So, you want to hear their lead headline? We don't have to go to it's almost like, well, Babylon Bee or Drudge Report today, because Drudge has gone completely liberal, as we all know.
Right.
But it's like trick or treat, ICE vows Halloween raids.
Okay.
Noam was asked, are you still going to be out doing raids on Halloween and scaring the kids? She goes, no, we'll be out there doing raids to protect the kids.
Right.
And then, but it says trick or treat, ICE vows Halloween raids, and then right beneath it, witches protest Noam. And I clicked onto it, and there's a TikTok video. I don't know where it is, Chicago or whatever.
Right.
But there's a witches against fascism. And they're chanting. I'm just like, oh, my God.
All right, pull the broom over.
You've got to be kidding now. And they didn't look like Glenda the Good Witch either. They looked like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, all right. Witches against fascism. Well, if you're really a witch, can't you do something about it?
Well, I remember when they
don't you have a cauldron or something where you could brew some kind of curse or something?
Well,
I don't know how it works.
there's a new group in Texas because so many of the new roads are toll roads, trolls against tolls.
Yeah, there you go. Right. My gosh.
For God's sakes.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's witches against fascism.
Witches against
I love
fascism, right. And against ICE. They're also against ICE.
Right.
You know. They figure that they can come from anywhere on their brooms and just drop in anywhere and take over.
Right. Here, I'm going to ask an unrelated question. Was Hillary involved in that? I said unrelated. I didn't mean to pair the two. That was not what I meant. Stop saying that. And you can't prove it.
It wasn't about her looks, but her ideology.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's clearly about her actions.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.